Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. Water literally shapes our entire planet. And today we're going to explore some pretty amazing bodies of water, lakes and reservoirs. Some of these are created by nature, while others are actually built by people. But no matter how they got there, both are absolutely crucial sources of fresh water for our Earth. Let's dive right in and learn how they work. Here's what we're looking at today. First, what are they? Second, the creation of lakes. Third, why build reservoirs? Fourth, we'll look at some record breakers. And fifth, why they matter. All right, part one. What are they?
So what exactly is the difference here? Well, a lake is simply a natural body of water that is completely surrounded by land. Mother Nature made it. On the flip side, we have reservoirs. A reservoir is an artificial lake. People create it by building a massive wall, which we call a dam, right across a river. All that water then collects behind the dam. So the main thing to remember here is lakes are natural and reservoirs are created by us.
Now, natural lakes actually come in 4 different types. First up, freshwater lakes. These are the ones you'll see most commonly around Earth. Second, salt lakes. This happens when water evaporates into the air but leaves all the salt behind. Third, we have flowing lakes. This is where fresh water flows in from streams and flows right back out into rivers. And finally, closed lakes. Here, water flows in, but it doesn't flow out at all. The only way water ever leaves is by evaporating up into the sky. Let's move on to part 2, creation of lakes. Nature actually builds lakes in 5 really dramatic ways. First, we've got glacial lakes. Long ago, giant blocks of ice melted and left behind deep holes that filled up with water. Second are tectonic lakes. Sometimes the Earth's crust shifts and cracks, creating massive valleys that eventually fill with water. Third, volcanic lakes. Believe it or not, the top of a dead volcano can catch rain and turn into a beautiful lake. Fourth, karst lakes. This wild process happens when underground water dissolves soft rocks, creating big sinkholes. And finally, natural dam lakes. This is when a huge landslide of rock blocks a river and traps all that water. Pretty cool, right? Okay, part 3, why build reservoirs? So why do we go through all the trouble to build these artificial lakes? Well, for some very important reasons. First off, reservoirs store water for dry times when rain is scarce. They also provide safe, clean drinking water for huge cities. Plus, they help farmers irrigate or water their crops so they can grow our food. Another huge benefit is generating electricity. The rushing water moving through the dam actually spins giant machines to create clean power. On top of all that, reservoirs hold back heavy stormwater to reduce flood risks, and they make it much easier for big boats to travel. But, as you might guess, building a giant reservoir definitely changes nature. When a large dam is built, the water levels rise significantly. Whole valleys, forests, and sometimes even entire towns get flooded. Next, the natural river completely changes its normal flow and speed. And because the water turns into a deep, still pool, the water temperature changes too. Because of all this, local plants, fish, and animals really have to adapt to these brand new conditions if they're going to survive. Now for the fun stuff, part 4, record breakers. Let's take a quick world tour of 4 incredibly famous lakes. First stop, Russia, home to Lake Baikal. It is literally the deepest lake in the whole world, plunging down 1,642 meters. Number 2 is the Caspian Sea. Now, despite its name, it's actually a giant salt lake, and it's the largest lake in the world by surface area. Over in Africa, we have Lake Tanganyika, which claims the title of the 2nd deepest lake on Earth. And finally, in North America, we've got Lake Superior, the absolute largest freshwater lake by area. 2%. Get this, even though there are millions of lakes on Earth, they only cover about 2% of the planet's land surface. When you think about it, that really shows you just how rare and precious our surface freshwater actually is.
25 million. Remember Lake Baikal in Russia from just a minute ago? Well, scientists believe it is the oldest lake on Earth. It is estimated to be about 25 to 30 million years old. Just try to imagine all the ancient history that single lake has seen. It's truly mind-blowing.
Which brings us to part 5, why they matter. Lakes are absolutely crucial to our planet's survival. For starters, they store huge amounts of our fresh water. They also play a big role in helping control the local climate, acting kind of like an air conditioner to keep areas from getting too hot or too cold. Of course, they provide drinking water for millions of us, but they also give a safe, necessary home to countless plants, fish, and animals. They provide us with food, support the fishing industry, and, let's be honest, they are just beautiful places for us to go swimming, boating, and just relaxing.
I want to share a quote that really hits the nail on the head. Reservoirs are powerful tools created by people. When used wisely, they help us live better while protecting our planet. Basically, this means we've got to be careful. Sure, we build dams to survive dry seasons and generate power, but we really need to manage them carefully so we don't end up harming the natural world in the process. It's all about balance.
And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. Lakes and reservoirs give us so much: water, food, energy, and just gorgeous places to enjoy. By protecting them, we are literally helping people, animals, and nature thrive. Remember, every single drop of clean water is valuable. So I want to leave you with this question to think about. How will you help protect our natural wonders and water tools in the future? Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.